Alright, blue collar hustlers, if you've seen some of my short videos as of late, you can tell that I've been doing a lot of bathtub renovations. It's not just that, I've been taking on a ton of different jobs. I'm everywhere at any given time. But for today's video, I'm going to take a bunch of these bathtub related repairs and I'm going to squeeze them into one video so we can talk about them and I can show you some of the tools that I've been using in the trades. Now, this story starts about a year and a half ago because I stepped out of wrenching on a full-time basis and wanted to jump into a different trade. Now, in doing so, I've met a lot of tradesmen over the years and I've had a lot of job offers to go into different trades. But I was needing to take on the right type of work that would suit my family's needs for this moment in time. So I got in with this one company that basically runs a bunch of property management companies underneath them. As you might imagine, they're hiring contractors left and right all the time to do a variety of different things. At any given time, they could have 5 or 6 different remodeling companies working for them to remodel property. They also have electricians, HVAC technicians, plumbers, anybody they need at their disposal. Needless to say, when I get in with this place, they have kept me busy from day one. And since they own a bunch of different properties, that means they got a bunch of different tenants that at any given time could screw something up. In this particular situation, it wasn't the tenants who screwed something up, it was the fact that they were gone out of town for 2 weeks to come back to a mess. See, they own a home in Tennessee and they rent a place up here. While they were gone, the upstairs bathtub had sprung a leak and it was basically leaking down into their ceiling, into their tub, until the point when the ceiling collapsed and ended up on their floor. Whenever they come home to this mess on a weekend, they didn't call their normal people, they called me to come out and take a look as to what was going on. I know there's certain situations where the first thing you're going to have to do is call a professional plumber to come out and look at this problem. After the plumber does their job and fixes the plumbing problems, you'll probably have to hire a drywaller and a painter and then a cleaner. But where I have a wide array of different services, I was able to come out and handle everything at one time. And I know there's a lot of people that nitpicks over quality. Let me explain something to you when it comes to quality. I can do quality professional work if the person who is hiring me wants to pay for that. Whenever it comes down to it, people are trying to save money. We are in the worst economy that this country has seen in a very long time. On top of that, nobody wants people inside their house when they're trying to live there. So when this company called me up, they said, listen, we want you to go in and handle the plumbing problem. If you have any issues, give us a call. I said, not only will I handle the plumbing problem, but I will also take care of the drywall, the painting, and everything else that this place needs to get everything looking like new again. Actually, this building is about 45 years old. It's got a bunch of old galvanized pipe and cast iron. Now, back in the day, they didn't run augers down these drains. They basically poured acid down the drains and let it sit there and eat away at everything that was inside. Unfortunately, that means it also eats away at the pipes. If you're working with galvanized steel, you know as well as I do, after a 40-year period of time, a bunch of acid and a few augers have been run down the drain, you're going to get some holes knocked in them. And that's exactly what happened here. So I got in the steel and fixed the problem, and moved on to the next task at hand, which was brand new drywall, mud, and a paint job. Until I started working with this place, I didn't really realize how often this type of thing happens to people. And this is just one of those things. I've had a lot of these calls as of late. Now, each one might be different from one to the next, but they all have the exact same concept. Have a leak, find it, fix it, patch the ceiling. Now, some of these places, they don't want me to go in and completely redo the ceiling because there's people living there. They would rather wait for them people to move out and then go in and fix the ceiling the proper way. Like I said, nobody likes working around people whenever they're home. People's going to constantly want to go in and out of the bathroom while you're there. So sometimes it's in the best interest of everyone just to patch the thing until you can come back later on and fix it the right way. As long as everybody involved is happy along the way, then it's not really anybody else's concern. What gets you is whenever you cannot access the plumbing pipes in some of these places. Modern day homes will have cleanouts. That way you can easily get to them. You can knock the clog out of the drain if it's got a clog. They'll have access points for you to get to the pipes. But in a lot of these older model homes, you really don't have that option. You're going to have to cut a hole in the ceiling, put an access panel in, cut a hole in the wall, put an access panel in, grab some sheetrock with some J-channel around it, and pop it up there, cover it up. Now, whenever you need access to it, you simply take the screws out, pull it down, and you got access. As you can see by some of these pictures that I'm sharing with you, this is a common occurrence. If you end up having to call out a professional plumber 2 or 3 times a day, every other day, then that's going to run your bill up substantially. In return, that's going to raise everybody's rent. So it's cheaper for places like that to call me in to do these kind of repairs, and while I'm there on site repairing some things, if something else pops up, they'll call and ask me, hey, can you go over here and fix that while you're here? That's why I run into a variety of situations. Sometimes it'll be little things, sometimes it'll be big things. If I'm there on site and they so happen to have another tenant that's been complaining about their shower heads, it don't take 2 seconds to go in, take their shower head loose and replace it and put a new one on. Maybe their faucet ain't working right, it won't shut off and they need it rebuilt or replaced. I could be there doing some repairs to their HVAC and they call me up and say, hey, I got a tenant who's got an issue with their bathtub. Like, what's the problem? They'll say, well, they're going to try to take a shower and they can't take a shower because all the water's coming out of the spout instead of the shower head itself. It's a pretty easy fix. You go up there, you pull out the tub spout, put on a brand new one. I went in to change one time and come to find out it had a shark bite fitting attached to the inside of the tub spout diverter itself. This was something that was actually put on by professional plumbers. I like to never got that thing loose. The way I could actually get it off at the time was reach over in my tool bag, get a pair of these groove lock pliers and put on. We're the only ones that had a thin enough jaw to reach in behind there and help push up on that ring to get that shark bite fitting off. I do have the tools from Shark Bite to get these things off, but I didn't have it on me at the time. This is one of those things you never really know what to expect until you get into something. Most of the time at a lot of these locations, they do not have any access panels for you to get into something, so what you have to do is locate where the bathtub is, what the source of the problem is, and then go from there. I've seen situations where we've had to go upstairs, pull out somebody's refrigerator, cut a big hole in the wall to get in behind that fridge. On the other side of that wall, you'd have access to your vent pipes that run straight down into the pipes that was clogged up down below. You had access to the bathtub that was causing the problem, especially if you're running into these situations with cement floors. Wood floors ain't that big of a problem because you can pretty well cut around whatever you need to, but whenever you run into cement floors, you're going to have a little bit of a different issue. But when they built this place back in the day, they didn't put Y's in places where they should have put Y's. Some places they put straight T's, which is absolutely ridiculous. In other Another grand thing that they did back in the heyday that I don't like is these brass stoppers. Sure, it worked for a time being, but whenever they start rotting out and deteriorating, them big brass plugs fall down inside your P-trap and get lodged. You might have to go into some apartments and end up getting over top of their bathtub, cutting a hole in the ceiling just to be able to access the P-traps on the other bathtub up above them. You might turn around and have to do the exact same thing if you're handling a situation on theirs. You go down below them, cut a hole in those people's ceilings to access their drain. When you want to get to the back half of the tub instead of the bottom half of the tub, you're going to have to go to the opposite side of that wall, and that might be in someone's apartment, it might be in your hallway. All you can do is cut a hole out in the wall to access those plumbing lines. Like I said, when people want professional work, we can do professional work, but for the most part, people out here are trying to make money and save money the best they can. I can come in and do whatever they need me to do while I'm there on the job. And if something else pops up while I'm there, regardless of what it is, if I think I can handle it, I'll tell them whether or not I'm going to do it. That's all part of that hustle, and that's what it's all about, is going out here and making that money. If you have the skills and the knowledge to do a job and the tools to do it with, you can do anything you put your mind to. There's been times where we've cut holes in ceilings to reach the trap itself, then you're unable to reach the trap because of all the other things that's in the ceiling up above. Talking about duct work, electrical wires, your plumbing pipes that's coming in, your drain lines going out. There's all kinds of stuff that could be in your way in these ceilings. Top of the metal frames that's running across the floor. Some of them traps might be 3 foot overhead. You can get on a ladder and reach up there and easily access them. Ones are going to be about 6 foot overhead because of the way they built the building. It's when you got to get creative. Get you some cheap pliers, put you some pipes on the end of them, and reach up in there and bust those nuts loose. Some situations, if it's just a loose nut, all you got to do is take those pliers, push up on it, and then try to tighten them up best you can. But I said, doing work like this has been pretty interesting from one day to the next because you just don't know what you're going to run into. The whole reason I make videos like this is to basically show you that these tools that I'm reviewing on this channel is being used in a variety of different circumstances. I'm someone who has been a mechanic. I've also worked on industrial machines and equipment. I've worked in small engine boat repair shops. Now I'm doing stuff like this for a brief moment in time. Anybody can relate to me on this type of situation, it would probably be Justin Dow. He's another person who has been wrenching for a very long time and he just needed to take a break. Among all these different jobs that I've been doing, I also take on remodeling jobs where I will remodel the entire unit from top to bottom. Then there's other times they will call me in to do just the bathrooms themselves, which is what you're seeing here. Of course, the very first thing you do when you're taking out bathtubs is rip down that tub surround. If it's got a bunch of tile lined around it, you're going to have to take something and bust that tile up and get it removed. And usually you got a layer of drywall or green board in behind it that you got to cut out because the tub's in there up against the walls and you're going to have that room to move. If you got any kind of plumbing to do, you need to cut out the old roughing, put in a new one, reassemble your valve body, reroute the piping so that everything fits the new installation, which means you got to take apart everything that had to do with the old tub. You figure out whether you're going to use a left-handed or right-handed tub, you get it installed, mounted to the wall. Next thing you do is hook up your waste drain overflow kit, tighten up your tub drain, make sure everything's in line. Put in your roughing, line it up where you want it at, cut out your drywall, get everything dry fitted in place. It's very important that you dry fit everything because you don't want to just cut everything assuming that it's going to be right the first time around. Once I get the drywall in place, I want to make sure that everything is nice and smooth, so I'll go around it, I'll apply mud if I need to, sand it down, make sure everything's good and level. That way, whenever I'm cutting out everything for the tub surround, I can easily measure everything, line it up, put it in its place. Once I see that everything has been dry fitted and it's right where it's supposed to be at, that's when I'll apply the construction adhesive. On one of these jobs, I was actually testing out this grip-on vise set. If you need an impromptu vise when you're out here in the trades, this two-piece plier set is amazing to have. You can easily lock it down on a variety of different objects, whether it be a countertop, a workbench, a sawhorse, on the back of your truck. As you can see, I was able to fit the pipes in between the jaws of these two pliers and hold it in place while I broke it loose with a pair of channel locks. This is why I like using tools in a variety of different circumstances, because sometimes you'll use tools like this as a professional mechanic, an industrial mechanic. Maybe you'll use it in the plumbing trade as a contractor. The more that people test and try out tools, the more uses you'll find for them, the better off you'll see how they perform in your particular trade. Anyhow, getting back to the bathtubs here, after I get everything in place where it's supposed to be at, it's dry fitted, everything's measured up right, I'll apply all the adhesive and put it in place and let it dry. Afterwards, all you got to do is figure out what type of setup you're going to have. Most of these, I'll use these single handle kits with Delta, simply because they got rebuildable parts for just about everything they got. So if you ever have any issues in the future, you can rebuild these things. I'll install the new cartridge, shower head, spout diverter, and shower rod. Once all that's done, all I got left to do is go ahead and do the final touch-ups. That's typically going around the edges of it, making sure the paint's good and all that stuff. Here's some before and after pictures on some of these jobs that I've done here recently. At some point in time, if you all don't like these long form videos where I'm talking about stuff like this, that's fine. Like I said, I've been wrenching for a very long time, so jumping into this type of trade and talking about this kind of stuff is relatively new to me, at least as far as content creation goes. Maybe I'll break these down in shorter videos for you next time around. Either way, if you want to see these tools in action, tested in the trades in a variety of different circumstances, and all you got to do is pop the clutch and that subscribe button or check out these social media platforms. I can guarantee you one thing, I am one of the realest tradesmen you're going to find on any of these platforms with content that stretches across all trades. If you want to show some support, all you got to do is smash that like button or leave a comment down below. Otherwise, I will encourage you to go out here, buy yourself some tools, learn yourself a trade, and get to doing that blue collar hustle.